Good evening. Welcome to the November 17th, 2015 Planning and Zoning meeting. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, then a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have roll call from left to right?
Anthony Sutton.
Mike Dolan.
John Grant.
Jane Serbine.
Edward Mead.
Carl S. Moore.
Tom Nickel.
Tom Panzella.
Jim Quish.
I am Ben Gettinger, also present David Sulkis, City Planner, Phyllis Leggett, Board Clerk. The first item on the agenda is executive session. If we could have a motion for executive session. Ms. Servine with the motion, Mr. Sutton seconds. All in favor? We're in executive session. And we're going to invite Mr. Sulkis. Thank you. We're back on the record. So just so I'm clear, Mr. Sulkis, we just go to the next agenda item? Okay. The next item on the agenda is new business 45 Cooper Avenue, Zone R-5.
Aye. Oh, explain? Okay. Yeah, this is just a CAM review for site review for 45 Cooper Avenue for a single-family dwelling, brand new construction.
You mind just stating your name and spelling your last name for the record?
Sure, yeah, my name is Aviel Suarez, and my last name is spelled S-U-A-R-E-Z, and I am the homeowner and contractor for the new residence.
Thank you. Any comments from staff?
I have Mr. Harris's report. I think I have to read this to you. There's a previously this is a previously developed flat lot that abuts the Housatonic Marsh. It's located in the R5 zone in an AE11 flood zone. The surrounding area has been developed primarily for single-family dwellings. The proposed development, a variance was recorded 3/31/15 for the west side yard setback. The proposal is for a 3-story single-family dwelling. The finished floor is not indicated on the plans, but is shown to be 8 feet 10 inches above grade. The overall height is shown to be 29¼ inches above grade. The construction will include 12-inch diameter fiberglass piles with horizontal slats to vent flood waters on all 4 sides. There will be 2 floors of living space on top of the foundation. Sedimentation erosion control methods include silt fencing, hay bales, a rain garden, and a 6x10 weir. Materials to be trucked off-site during construction. His main comment on the bottom is that 2 off-street parking spaces are required by section 5.14 of our zoning regulations. The top of the first finished floor shall be at least 12 feet above flood elevation. The foundation plan shall be signed and sealed by a licensed professional engineer or land surveyor.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Mr. Grant.
Yeah, Mr. Harris came up with the same things I did. There's no parking shown on the plan, and I was wondering how that was going to be addressed.
Okay.
Also, the foundation plan does not show how the 2 decks are going to be supported, and the plans
don't show any elevation marks. The only one that has an elevation of what something's going to be is on the site plan. It does show the top of the proposed floor, but there's nothing on any of the floor plans or on the site plan as far as what elevations are going to be, especially what the decks are. So basically the questions I have is basically how the deck's going to be supported, what type of foundation system is going to be used for those, and what is the actually elevations of the decks, and how are you going to address the 2 parking spaces that are required by our ordinances.
Okay, Mr. Grant, yeah, I can answer your question. And the first floor elevation is going to be 16 feet above sea level. The actual grade level on the site is 4 feet above sea level. So we're exceeding the FEMA standard in regards to the elevation, and also the parking is going to be addressed. Is going to be just similar to every other house over there. It's going to be a carport underneath. So we do address those 2 car locations beneath the structure. And the decks, in regards to the decks will be cantilevered because there is a substructure that is built out of LVLs that's going to be cantilevered out by it's only 4 feet, so it's going out from the structure itself. If you could see that in the actual foundation plan that was provided by the structural engineer.
All right. First thing is you can't park under the structure based on the structural plan for the foundation because you have columns there, and you don't have, I believe when I looked at it, you got about, well, you might be able to squeeze a car in between the 2 columns if the decks were cantilevered in the front, but the deck is basically 7 and some odd feet out. That's an awful big cantilever, which structurally I don't think it's going to be able to cantilever. Building code wouldn't allow you to cantilever that much of a deck.
Yeah, I don't think we're cantilevering 7 feet out. Could you just show me where?
If you look at the site plan, it shows the rear deck to be, I think it was 7.5 feet by the width of the space, and then the deck in the front was 2 feet out, and then at an angle, and the most at the angle was like 7.5 feet. So there's no way you're going to cantilever that kind of a distance.
Okay. Yeah, looking at the structure that's there, structurally you would be able to do so, but if the town is limiting you to, in order to have to reduce that, we would reduce the deck to whatever requirement the town would need. Just because just a quick rule of thumb in regards to cantilevering a deck, usually say if you were to go 7 feet, you would have to at least double back that distance. So it would be, if you were at 7 feet, you need to be 14 feet within the structure in order to make that cantilever.
Yeah, but to even doubling it back, basically a 2x12 will only allow you to go 5.5 feet for a cantilever to support a deck. So you still got to have some kind of supports underneath of it. The other item is, it still hadn't told me how you're going to address the parking. And basically the site plans are not signed and sealed, which is required also by our regulations. So I kind of look at this as a slightly incomplete application, and you would need to address those items.
Okay, and the site plan is not signed and sealed? You don't have a copy of the signed and sealed site plan? Because I did.
I'm sorry, the site plan is signed and sealed.
The site plan and all the structural drawings are also signed and sealed, correct? And then also in regards to the deck, that they are not 2x12s. They're actually 14-inch LVLs. It's a triple that's going out. That was kind of what was withstanding the substructure to that deck.
Okay. The reason I mentioned that is doesn't apply to this board, but I'm licensed building official. To span that, you're not going to do that. If you do, you need to get an engineer to sign off on that for that kind of cantilever.
Okay.
Sure, not on these I don't know if the engineer who did up the site, the plot plan, is actually attesting saying that he can cantilever that far out.
Yeah. With all due respect, is if these drawings are stamped and sealed, aren't they signifying that is the case?
So, Mr. Grant, what are you suggesting? How could this applicant remedy your concerns?
My suggestion is that basically that we get some type of a documentation as to how they're going to address the parking, address the elevations on the drawings so that we can tell exactly what the elevations are going to be, and basically get some type of a letter from the structural engineer saying that basically the cantilever, that he can cantilever that far out with the structure that's there.
Mr. Quish.
I mean, I think this is it's not like a building department review. It's just like a CAM. So we're looking at allowing a building to be built on an existing lot where there was a former building. I think that the building components, compliance with the 2 spots can be addressed in a motion, and just complying with all local building ordinances and move forward.
Mr. Grant?
Still doesn't, we need some decision. I understand that the building is building, but our regulations require 2 off-street parking, which has not been demonstrated on the drawings. So that I would like to see exactly how that's going to be addressed.
The applicant has stated that the parking will be underneath the structure, as is common in the neighborhood, and it's up to him now to make that buildable through Milford Building Code.
So, Mr. Suarez, do you want to continue with your application here, or do you want to continue it and try to work with Mr. Sulkis? It's up to you. It seems like you have 1 board member that wants to go forward today, and you have 1 that doesn't, and 8 that haven't spoken on it.
Yeah, so to continue it, meaning to continue it right now, or to move this on?
To continue, just meaning put it on either the next agenda or another agenda where you could remedy what Mr. Grant is alleging is improper, or you could just go forward with the application as is and take a chance to see what the board is going to do.
Yeah, I'd like to go forward with and see what the board would like to do, just because I feel like we had addressed the underground parking, because we are parking beneath the structure. I mean, we have a 20-foot wide structure, which is normal in the area and that neighborhood, and could easily fit 2 cars, because you're talking about a 12-inch diameter piling. Reducing that distance, you could easily fit 2 cars within that space, that clearance that's there.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? I have one. Mr. Sulkis, is Mr. Grant's concerns really a building concern? Do we have enough here to go forward with the application for our part of it?
The plans do not show parking, and we don't know if the parking is going to work unless it's shown on the plan. That's all I can tell you.
Now, in regards to the parking, now what needs to be illustrated in regards to
All plans that come before the Planning and Zoning Board, when complete, show parking. Mm-hmm. So there would be a site plan showing the parking spaces. your plan currently doesn't do that.
Okay.
You know, we're not trying to jam you up. We're trying to do the opposite. I mean, I suggest maybe you work with the city planner, remedy the application, and we'll get you on the agenda as soon as possible. And that way everyone's concerns can be addressed and there will be no issue.
Okay.
So procedurally, what should we do? Just continue it to the next agenda?
I would continue it.
So we'll continue this to December 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is 1595 and 1695 Boston Post Road, Zone CDD-5.
Evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Nuff, 147 Broad Street here in Milford. I'm here tonight on behalf of C&G Milford LLC. These are applications for minor amendments to the special permit and site plan approvals that you granted on July 1st of this year. And actually, I would say that not only is this a minor amendment, but it is a minor amendment because we're making three very, very small changes to the approved plans. First, we're adding about 3,300 square feet of building square footage in the rear of the building. You'll recall that there are three buildings on our site that are currently under construction. The one that is closest or furthest to the right is oddly enough, it's not cantilever, but it is raised off the ground in the back, and so that's where the additional 3,300 square feet is going to be. But we are not increasing our development window in any way or envelope. In fact, we're reducing impervious coverage. Fire has signed off, and wetlands has signed off in terms of this additional 3,300 square feet. We're also making some other changes at the request of DOT that our professional engineer, Ray Pear, will describe for you. And last, Ray Oliver, our architect, is going to describe some changes that we're making to the front elevation on behalf of a terrific retailer, REI. I don't know if you're familiar with REI. They're an outdoor store similar to EMS. So if you do anything outdoors, whether you walk, bike, ski, climb mountains, kayak, paddleboard, they will have anything for you in that nature. And frankly, this is going to be the first one of these stores, similar stores, whether it's an EMS or REI, anywhere between Fairfield and New Haven. So this is a great retailer for this site, and it's a great retailer for Milford, and it's a real get for the city as well. So I'm going to have Ray Pear describe to you where the 3,300 square feet are going to be, how he somehow was able to come up with 220 more square feet of pervious coverage, and then Ray will describe the elevation changes.
Good evening. Raymond Pear, licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut, Vice President of Engineering at West Cotton Mapes, located at 142 Temple Street in New Haven. Before you, to my right, the site plan C1, as in your package, except this has some color to it for presentation purposes. As Attorney Nuff had mentioned, the three buildings, building number 1, building number 2, building number 3. The minor modification is to building number 1, here as I pointed out. For orientation purposes, north is kind of down to my lower left, Boston Post Road at the bottom of the page. The original building, as approved by zoning, original is outlined here with the lighter shade beige color, and the 3,300 or 3,298 square feet, and more exactly, that area of building addition is here to the rear of building number 1. The width of the building has not changed in that area, 122 feet. The length, or this dimension, long dimension, was 179 and currently proposed at 208 and 0.25 feet. So approximately 29 feet of building addition. You could see that there's a chamfer or an angled corner on the southeast corner of the building. Reason being to accommodate the tractor trailer route and emergency vehicle route around the building. This has been, as mentioned, approved by the fire marshal. He's reviewed that circulation pattern and agrees and is comfortable with the building as presented. The prior approval in this area had surface parking, a parking lot, exposed parking lot, and basically what has been done is the building, a proposed addition over top of the prior approved surface parking lot. And what we've done, there was a small landscaped area off the back end of the building. We've since moved that further to the east, and in doing so, the geometry is such that we actually gain a little more green space with the configuration of the driveways into the building and so forth. It's minor, but it's about 202 square feet of additional green space in this area, and all the plantings that were shown here will now be placed in the new location. There is no further expansion or encroachment or movement of the development in the easterly direction toward the river in the rear. All of those limitations are held in place, edge of pavement and so forth. So again, the only work was done over here over the top of the prior approved parking lot and then the green space here. We maintained the walkway around the building. The walk now goes in this direction into the structure and then up along the southerly side of the building, so one gets shelter as one travels around. The overall parking is met, more exceeded rather, with 280 spaces provided on the site in total, and with the combination of commercial development for all three buildings. There has been a tenant change, a removal of a proposed restaurant use, and now has been changed to a commercial use. That, in addition to the REI building expansion, the overall required parking is 271 spaces, therefore less than the overall provided parking. Inside the, or beneath the structure, I should say, there's 82 parking spaces inside the park under garage area. We are in total compliance with the zoning requirements as referenced in the zoning plan Z1 in the zoning table, setbacks, coverages, etc. The other minor site item that we had to address was really at the request of the DOT District 3. There is an existing culvert beneath the post road that dumps into a brook over here along the southerly side of the property. It was not our intention really to move or encroach upon that area, but again, DOT had approached us, and the existing end wall and culvert condition is such that they have been concerned, and they negotiated and discussed with us the requirement to extend that culvert to make a safe condition, brace the wall, back it with soil, put a 4-to-1 slope, etc., and basically extend the culvert. They have approved that design. It's represented on a sheet 6 and 7 in the package. The plans have gone through the Inland Wetlands Commission with approval, and as mentioned, DOT. So we've met all the criteria. At this point, I'd like to just forward the presentation to architect Ray Oliver, who will then present the building and the plans and the facade. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ray Oliver, architect with offices at 3 Lafayette Street, Milford. I'm here representing the Capelli organization. with the revised proposal for 1595 Boston Post Road. As you see from this elevation, this is the entire breadth of the Post Road facade of the building. The portion from this side to the east is all that was previously approved, and the materials in that section are brick pilasters with some limestone and stonework intermediate between those pilasters. The new facade will be the signature facade for REI, which is the recreational equipment company, and what they have as part of their design is some lighter colored brick, pretty much a limestone color, with some metal paneling, a graphite color, and then some ground concrete block face that's, again, similar to limestone. It's a little darker here in this rendering. They also have a wood trellis affair that's a part of their canopy that is part of their signature entryway. So I think that the new facade of the REI building that's going to be the anchor store in the complex is very complementary to what we're doing with the rest of the project that's on site. As Ray Pear mentioned, the addition to the building is entirely in the rear, which we're really just adding an additional bay to the building of about 3,300 square feet. This obviously is just the blank shell space for now. REI hasn't developed their floor plan yet, but they're taking about 25,000 square feet in the main part of the building, which is this portion. Underneath the building is a covered parking area for both tenants and employees. The back portion previously was parking that was uncovered, and now it's parking that's covered. So there's not been a great change in the covered parking area. So I think that the changes are minimal, but they're going to be significant from a visual and from an economic point of view for the not only for the developer, but for the city at large.
So that's it. Fairly simple. If you have any questions, obviously we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any comments from staff?
None at this time.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Nickel.
Yeah, could you explain the traffic flow going in and out of that shopping center? Is there one-way signs? Yeah, I see you got tractor trailers coming in and out of there, and could be a problem.
If I may, again, Raymond Payer. We've been working along with the traffic engineer on the project team with DOT quite extensively. And of course, being a state road, they are truly looking closely at this development, and we have received the OSTA approval and now working with district to finalize the improvements for their permit. All tractor trailer delivery entry occurs on the southerly driveway, and you could see the narrowing for passenger vehicles, if you will. This area here is wide enough to allow the larger tractor trailers to enter. This is a raised, tactile, textured concrete, so this is asphalt, so the vehicles will enter off the post road in either direction and here, and then loop around the building. The exit occurs in the main entrance. And yes, there's signage in one way and so forth, all in accordance with DOT requirements. Patrons could enter the main entrance here, the center driveway, and there's also another entrance here. Only entrance, no exit. The exit on the northern end of the site, it goes here to a traffic light.
Any further questions from the board?
If I could just expand, I'm sorry, it was just mentioned by the architect, just to point out the loading docks are here in the rear at the lower level. So the building has an upper and lower level, so the trucks go around to the rear to access the loading docks behind. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, would anyone like to make a motion? Ms. Servine.
I will make a motion for approval for this, I think, a wonderful site that's going to be a great addition to Milford and, of course, to that area, Post Road as well. So 3 minor amendments, motion for approval.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Anyone against? The motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Have a good night.
The next item on the agenda is liaison report. Anyone with a report? Mr. Mead?
At the last police commission meeting, there was another affordable housing project coming on Meadowside Road. They denied it under for traffic, so we'll have to see how it comes through. Seaside, near Meadowside Road.
Can I ask a question regarding that? They denied it on traffic. Did they have a traffic consultant review this?
Well, what they denied it for was it's going to be a private area where they're going to have a garbage collection would be from a private company, and they're worried about the bigger truck going in there to get the receptacle and then backing out onto Seaside Avenue. So was their main concern.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, which was skipped, was 1613 New Haven Avenue. I think we have an update from Mr. Sulkus.
Yeah, we are going to be awarding the contract tomorrow to the consultant who will be reviewing the traffic data per the board's directive. So hopefully we will, have that review shortly for you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the Regulation Subcommittee. Mr. Grant?
Nothing for this evening.
So the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Anyone with any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, would anyone like to make a motion? Ms. Servine.
I make a motion to approve.
Having a motion, we have a second, Mr. Quish. All in favor? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is Chair's report. I will, Mr. Quish, you have a guest today here.
I do. Joe Arata's here to observe the civic process.
Thank you. I just wanted in the record in case anyone disputes his attendance tonight. The next item on the agenda is staff report. Mr. Sulkus?
Nothing this evening.
Any new business? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.